but the feeling is very strong here in the studio that although Kasparov is a pawn ahead, the fact that White's bishop controls the black squares and Black's bishop controls the white squares will mean there'll be a standoff, and neither side will be able to win, or Kasparov will not be able to win. That at least is strongly the position of Edmar Mednis, I think Jimmy Sherwin, and Harry Lyman, and Dolly Teasley. Okay, we have the move now from Moscow, and let's see what happens. Okay, the move by Garry Kasparov in this position, as if to prove that, in Jimmy's words, he was not pusillanimous, he plays king to h2. That, of course, defends the pawn, but it also justifies moving the pawn, because that square wouldn't be available if he had moved the pawn to h3, which at the time seemed like a rather not too energetic, perhaps tame, cowardly move. Okay, and he made that move after 9 minutes, so why did he take that long? Is there any reason? Are there any particular complexities in this position?
I think he's savoring the fact that he's a pawn ahead, Shelby. He wants to bask in the sunshine of being a pawn ahead so that he can say that in the 25 games that they've played, or 26 games that they've played so far, for 9 minutes in one of the games, he was a pawn ahead.
You would never guess from Jimmy's exegesis that he's a lawyer. You would think he's a psychoanalyst or a psychologist or an aspiring one. Edmar?
Well, you know, if I made some kind of sarcastic comments earlier, I want to take most of them back, because really great players do have a basis for their moves and for their actions. Now, it's possible to play a position like this, of course, faster, but if it gets played too quickly, then the inevitable end comes and everyone is upset. But this way, they can get in 5 whole hours, and since White has this luxury of time, he wants to at least, you know, put up some kind of appearance of play. But, you know, this position, I think, is only laughable at the World Championship level, and even, let's say, normal grandmasters like I and, you know, Jimmy's grandmaster strength and so forth see the draw very, very easily. But I think most of our audience probably does not really fully, you know, appreciate why, you know, there's nothing here. After all, White is up this clear pawn, and Black is not going to get it. So, you know, we keep saying week after week, you know, this threatens winning a pawn, this threatens winning a pawn. If you win a pawn, that's enough to win. Well, here, White's up a clear pawn, and we say, you know, it's nothing there. So, you know, we're a little bit like double talk, and perhaps as we go along in this game, we can try to make some of these points clearer.
Okay, I think it does have to be explained, and I think the explanations we offered will be illustrated as we go along, and that is that each side controls 1/2 of the squares. Well, Black controls the white squares, White the black dark squares, and there's a stalemate because each player really operates strongly on 1/2 of the board, and we'll see that. We'll see that. Okay, Harry, quickly, we're down to the last 30 seconds.
Yes, sometimes if you have a queen, a bishop, and a rook without color bishops, it's very hard to get a graph. Usually one side wins,
yeah.
But there's a missing rook here.
Yeah. Okay, we're down to the last few seconds. We'll have our intermission, and then we'll be back for 30 minutes of wrapping up this game and in fact, seeing how it concludes. So we'll see you soon.
We'll return to the World Chess Championships after these notes.
Far from the haunts of man on the remote Shetland Islands, wild otters are coming back from the brink of extinction. Though no longer slaughtered for their fur, they're still afraid. But filmmaker Hugh Miles doggedly tracks the elusive otter and finally gains the trust of one who lets him follow as she mates and brings 2 cubs into the world. Meet them and their fascinating fellow islanders with nature on the tracks of the wild otter.
Be sure to join us tonight at 8. Tonight at 11, Metrocosms introduces some of the leading lights among the city's street entertainers. And then we're off to one of the city's leading comedy clubs, along with some of the people who got their start there. Metrocosms tonight at 11. Join us.
The 1984 World Chess Championship presents the reigning champion, iron-willed Anatoly Karpov, defending his title against the brilliant young challenger, Garry Kasparov. The recreation of this match, complete with commentary and analysis, will provide insight to the beginner as well as the experienced chess player. Chess at its best. The 1984 World Chess Championship. Hello, I'm Fawn Ring. Welcome to our 11th week of World Championship Chess. Today we'll be bringing you the 26th game of this long defensive struggle between champion Anatoly Karpov and challenger Garry Kasparov. The champion leads 4 games to nothing after a record string of 16 consecutive draws. Draws do not count in championship competition, and all over the world, chess observers are waiting anxiously for a decisive game. Today we'll be recreating the game played in Moscow on Wednesday. Our host and guests haven't seen the moves, so they show are Dolly Teasley, international woman master and the second-ranked U.S. woman, according to the World Chess Federation, and Harry Lyman, former U.S. amateur champion and many times New England champion. And now, chess master, teacher, and syndicated columnist, our host, Shelby Lyman.
Welcome. This is the current position of the game as it stands between the two players, the world champion Anatoly Karpov, who has the black pieces, and the challenger Garry Kasparov, who has the white pieces. And in this position, as you see, after 16 straight draws, we have a position in which Garry Kasparov, with the white pieces, is a pawn ahead. But don't be deluded by that. In this kind of position, where white has a black squared bishop, a dark squared bishop, and black has a white squared bishop, that extra pawn is not likely, in fact, is almost certainly not to be worth too much. The main point is that black can control the white squares, and as we'll see, this extra white pawn, because the other pawns are symmetrical and stop each other, will be hard to advance. So this is the position between the two players who are playing in the former ballroom, now called the the Hall of Columns in the House of Trade Unions in Moscow. There are about 2,000 people watching this game, and it is a likely candidate for the 17th straight draw between the two players. Okay, this is the position, and in this position, it's Anatoly Karpov to move. Kasparov's last move was king to h2, and we're waiting for black Karpov to move. This bishop is pinned, as you'll notice. It can't move without black's queen taking white's queen. What is Karpov likely to do to tie down the draw? He played for this position of pawn down because obviously he thought it was the clearest way as black, starting with the inferiority of being black, that he could get a draw. Looking forward to the white pieces 2 days from now when he plays again. What's the most likely move for Karpov? Of course, his king is here in the back, and if the white queen should get down, it could become a checkmate. Should he make an opening for the king? Should he bring the king to the center? That's a little risky because the white pieces can start infiltrating on the dark squares. Or should Karpov try to attack white's pawns, or should he simply reposition the queen and the bishop to stop forever the advance of white's a pawn, or some combination of these things? Edmar?
Well, I think he can do two things. I think the bishop right now stands pretty well where it does, controlling both diagonals. So the question is, should he first activate the queen by playing it to b7, or should he first give his king a fleeing square and protect the e-pawn by playing a move like f6? Both of them make sense. I wouldn't be surprised if both of them get played over the next 2 to 3 moves anyway.
Okay, on this, is it possible that white would just play here and try to shut in the black queen and attack that pawn? Is that a possibility?
Well, of course, the pawn is not immediately
not
attacked
really
anyway.
too likely, huh?
Queen b7 is probably a bit safer, you know, to play, because the
Why is
queen
it-
stands quite well there.
Why is it? Oh, it's safer because you just get the queen on this.
Queen stands very well there.
Yeah. Okay. Any comments from Dolly Teasley or Harry Lyman?
Well, again, there is a threat there. If black can play pawn to king rook 4, h5, and play c5 to the pawn. There's an interesting combination there for black.
Okay, Harry's suggesting a rather intricate combination, and Karpov would have to cooperate. But Harry's really a very fine tactician, as I have found out in the past. And in this position, black is threatening to win a pawn. I'm going to show it quickly. Black, if this would ever occur, and Kasparov could easily stop the whole idea, Karpov could take this pawn, believe it or not, with the threat of the queen coming down here with mate. And the interesting thing is that Kasparov can't take back. Can you see how black mates in one move here? Okay, mates in one move by bringing the queen here, and this pawn stops that. That's why Harry suggested all that.
It's the longest queen move possible. Look at it.
That's true. That's a marvelous queen move. It's just a marvelous queen move. Okay, and this move does have a function. It makes an escape for the king, so it's the kind of thing you might try in blitz chess, and Harry may have a chance to do that soon. He's going to play a 1-minute blitz game with Dorothy Teasley. She'll have a chance to do the same thing. Okay, so our bishop now is here, and it's Karpov's move. Will he try something as outrageous as this? Probably not. Okay, the move by Anatoly Karpov in this position is, and he took 6 minutes on this move, and I'm proud to say it's h5. So Karpov played h5. Great, great. Karpov, okay, we just had the move posted on the master board, which keeps the position of the game. And in this position, Karpov played h5. We're using the algebraic system. This is the h-file. The pawn went up from h7 to h5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The king is at h2, you can see. The bishop is at e6, and so on and so forth. Chess players are so used to all the squares that they can look at them immediately and know their names. They don't have to count, and that will happen to you, too, if you get hooked on chess. Okay, we have a message here from our correspondent, Jonathan Tisdall, international master, working for Reuters press agency and for us in Moscow, we're proud to say. And he says, Taimanov and Lilienthal, two Soviet grandmasters, think that this ending should be drawn. But it is Kasparov's first material edge of the match, and a long one in sight. Queen to a5 instead of king to h2 was suggested by Taimanov as superior. The feeling by Grandmaster Taimanov was that the queen should have gone here earlier, instead of this move that was made just before we came on the air. Okay, and I'm going to read this quickly. Most of the grandmasters are in Greece. Lev Polugievsky, Raphael Vaganian, Karpov seconds are playing for the Soviet team in Thessaloniki, Greece. Grandmasters Tamaz Giorgadze, who's from Georgia, part of Karpov's team, and Yosef Dorfman, part of Kasparov's team, are both in Tashkent, which is in one of the Asian republics, playing in the USSR First League Tournament, which is a qualifying tournament for the USSR Championship. So because of the excessive length of the match so far, with all these draws, the Soviet grandmasters that would normally be expected to be in Moscow are scattered with a win. Okay, at this point, we're going to have one of our proud features of our World Championship chess coverage. We're going to have a blitz game between two of our human analysts, not those caricatures of Russian bears, etc. Harry Lyman, who's never played a 1-minute blitz game in his life before, except just the practice one before we went into this segment, and Dolly Teasley are going to play an entire game with 1 minute each for all their moves. And the idea here is to checkmate your opponent before your minute is gone. Otherwise, if no one gets checkmated, it's a race between who exhausts the minute first. So it's white to move. Dorothy Teasley will start Harry's clock going. Harry will move, hit Dorothy's clock, and so on. So let's go start the game. Okay, Harry moves. Dorothy Teasley moves. And I really encourage players to move very, very quickly. We don't want to see any forfeits on time. We want to see a checkmate. It doesn't happen too often. They're doing very, very well. Very, very well. But will they keep it up? Harry, how do you like playing 1-minute chess?
I'm not watching.
Okay. Harry,
He's not looking at his position, he says.
Dorothy, how does he play for a novice?
Beautifully.
He plays great, huh? Okay, Dorothy won the first game, the practice game. Jimmy, you're an expert in blitz chess. Edmar refuses to play on this show for probably very good reason.
want to lose.
Doesn't want to lose.
All I
Okay.
can see from here is the back of the clock, Shelby, and how slowly they're moving.
Yeah, it really, it's just, 2 minutes just, it's so oh, yeah.
But they're taking it very serious.
And Harry attacked Dorothy's queen, Dolly's queen, she attacked Harry's king. I have no idea who's winning. Does anyone know? Dolly, are you winning?
I'm winning.
You're a pawn ahead, huh? But he's attacking you, He just predicted Karpov's last move. You better be careful. Okay, she's hesitating. She won another pawn. Harry, what are you going to do?
I'm in trouble.
Harry is my uncle, if you haven't guessed it, and I'm rooting for him.
I don't think you should adduce the genealogy and his support at this stage of the game, Shelby.
It's not genealogy. As I explained, it's nepotism. When a nephew has an uncle on a TV show, it's nepotism.
You never did tell us whether Harry was the one who taught you how to play chess, was he?
I don't think you should try to blame him when he's in the middle of a blitz game. Okay, Harry, what do you think of your position?
I'm not saying too much. It doesn't look too good.
Why did you sacrifice a piece like that?
I can't think of anything else.
Okay.
Actually,
Dolly, what do you think of your position?
He was doing very well, Shelby, until you reminded him of the relationship.
Well, okay, Harry Lyman sneaked in with a checkmate there. Dolly, very good. Thank you. Thank you, Harry.
It was a swindle.
Okay. I'm not going to disown you.
Harry has,
you
Shelby,
did very
Harry
well.
has two mates. One against Dolly and one in that position there.
Okay, we have a photograph there of Garry Kasparov in one of his more active moves, cycling. He gets that Peugeot going over 30 miles an hour. He likes to also lift weights and play soccer. And he's active in several other sports, all of which before the match presaged tremendous energy and a very, very fighting chess style, but we haven't really seen it in the last 16 games.
Shelby, that one of these games he's really going to come out swinging, and Karpov, who will be only expecting another pusillanimous draw, is going to fall over, and that's got to be part of the strategy somewhere.
Well, I think Karpov will be well ready when that happens. I mean, don't you?
It's possible.
Yeah. Okay, we have a move coming in now from Moscow, and the move by Garry Kasparov is a move that Grandmaster Mark Taimanov told our correspondent Jonathan Tisdall that Kasparov should have made earlier, but anyway, he makes it now. He plays queen to a5. And he spent 7 minutes on that move. Queen to a5 by Garry Kasparov. You've just seen it posted on the master board, which has the position of the game. I'll go now to the analysis board, and we'll take up this position, queen to a5 by Garry Kasparov. This is the position now between the two players. This is the position on the board. Anatoly Karpov is a pawn behind, but at this moment he has the white pieces a little bit tied up. The point of this move was that now white can remove the bishop at some time if he wants to and break the pin, or he can come here, and then he's free to move the bishop, and so on. So in this position, it is Karpov to move. And how can Karpov show in this position that he has a draw? Well, Kasparov is attacking this pawn.
Sort of, but the bishop at the moment would be loose, right?
He can't take it immediately, but you don't think that Karpov should stop to defend it now. This move is not consistent with this move, is it?
Oh, it's consistent enough.
It is
actually,
consistent
I think,
enough.
yes. H5 really is not a dangerous move in a position which is characteristic of an endgame.
Okay. Do you think he might make this move to defend this pawn against future attack?
He might play bishop c4 here, Shelby, which provokes the king pawn to move and may create a weakness.
It attacks the pawn and it controls these squares here, which are important if this pawn should advance.
There's an interesting combination there. White can actually play queen takes king pawn in that position because queen takes e5.
Right.
Because if queen takes bishop, white plays queen to e8 check and queen to e4 check, and then takes the bishop off. But at the end of it, black's pawn on f2 is hanging.
Okay, let me show that quickly. What Jimmy is saying is that if black plays here...
It's only 10 moves deep, Shelby. Go ahead.
All right, I'm not going to do it. Okay, that was one of those variations. Not as hard as it would seem, but it's some routine themes that players of Jimmy and Edmar's strength are well acquainted with. Okay, let me get the move from Moscow. And indeed, Karpov did play f6. He played f6. There you see it. Let's go to the analysis board. f6 by Anatoly Karpov. Let's look at that variation now. Let's look at that variation. The question is, if Karpov hadn't come here and, let's say, try to move like this, could Kasparov play this move? The idea is he could try it because he sees that if Karpov takes this bishop, he can check here, and then when the king comes here, win back the bishop. Do you see how? Take 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. How can white win back the bishop here? It involves a double attack with the queen. The queen comes back here, checks the king, and takes the bishop. The only problem with that is that at the end, black's queen comes down here and takes the pawn check. And black's at least doesn't stand worse there, probably a little better.
Perpetual check, Shelby.
Yeah, he has perpetual check at the very least. So Karpov decided instead to simply defend the pawn and not get into all that. Okay, so this is the position. Although Karpov would have been quite okay in that situation. So Karpov simply played here. He's interested in the draw. He's not interested in anything too fancy. He's not going to win the game. He's a pawn behind, and he doesn't have to take chances for the draw. So he's just playing normal grandmaster chess to get the draw.
He's going to lose in that position.
Okay, and as Edmore is telling me, the bishop is not here. It's back here. Okay. All right. In this position, which still has some interest, we're going to stop and go to Moscow. In a matter of speaking, we're going to hear a recorded call, a call recorded earlier, a call with international master, our chess correspondent in Moscow, Jonathan Tisdall. And Jonathan will fill us in about the situation in Moscow, the reaction of the crowd, the situation of the match, and what it's like to be a correspondent there at this moment, I think. Okay, let's listen to Jonathan Tisdall. Jonathan Tisdall, we're now in the 11th week of this match, and it appears the match is far from done, even though Karpov leads 4-0 with 16 draws in a row. It seems as if the match can go on forever. What would you say are the dynamics of what's happening now between the two players?
Well, there have been no more elaborations from the camps. It still seems to be that Karpov wants to win 6-0, and Kasparov wants to provoke Karpov into overextending with white. And so he's still passing up his whites, more or less, in order to try and pounce his black.
Would you say that it's Kasparov who bears most of the onus for the series of draws?
I would, because Karpov, at least, is continuing to try for advantages with white. And if he gets something small, he presses. He declines draws occasionally.
And Kasparov?
Kasparov only offers and accepts.
I understand. What has been the reaction of the audience and the fans in Moscow? I understand that there have been some expressions of hostility, particularly, or let's say anger or frustration, particularly after Game 24.
Game 24 was the worst. It was possibly the most premature draw.
Jonathan, that game took just 17 moves, is that right?
That's right. And also, it happened very quickly in terms of clock time. The crowd reaction was the strongest seen here that I've ever seen at a chess event. There was some sarcastic clapping, whistling, grumbling, and the crowd stormed out.
Now, I understand from what you told me before that that people sometimes linger quite a while after the game is finished outside.
That's right. We got a lot of passers-by wanting to know the results, and after a game, quite often members of the audience congregate outside and discuss and debate what's been going on in the match.
Jonathan, we're going to have to get back to the game now. Perhaps a final word from you on your own situation there, as you're now in the 3rd month. What are your hopes and what are your feelings?
To be quite honest, I'm a bit discouraged and depressed about the current state of affairs, but I've just navigated another bout of red tape regarding my visa, and I'm booked in for another month. So I'll try to remain as optimistic as possible about the future course of this match.
Okay, Jonathan, thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay, we're a little envious of Jonathan. We're coming down to the final 15 minutes or so of this, our 11th program. And it's really our last program until the match is over, when we'll come back with probably a 1-hour report on the match, a special. You can watch your local PBS stations for it. So we envy, we've been joking about the draws and everything, but we've really been having a great time watching this match. And we regret, really, that our immediate stay on television is coming to an end, and our camaraderie in watching this. We've really had a good time. Well, Jonathan will be there, for better or worse. This is the current position between the two players. The world champion, Anatoly Karpov, is black. He's leading 4-0. He had that lead after 9 games. There have been 16 draws in a row. This is game 26. It could be the 17th draw. It most likely will. This is a situation between the two chess warriors, and drawing they may be, but they're still chess warriors. Every move has to be carefully considered, even when you play for the draw. And there's a lot of cleverness and a lot of awareness and a lot of good chess even in these draws. It's just really not the kind of tremendous, extraordinary battles that could have made this the greatest match ever played that we've been hoping for. It is possible that this match will come more alive, that there will be a number of decisive games. Maybe Karpov will lose 1 or 2. Kasparov will probably lose the matches behind 4-0. There might be some wonderful, hard fighting chess if they begin to and choose to play that way. Otherwise, it's hard to imagine how the match will end. Okay, this is the situation. Kasparov has an advantage of a pawn, but the advantage is very minuscule in terms of winning chances. Karpov should be able to stop this extra pawn very easily. At the moment, it is Kasparov's move. He's white. He has to untangle these pieces a bit. Let's see what Kasparov does in this position. I believe we have a move from Moscow on the telex. Actually, you see a photo there of the two players, and that is representative of what's just happened. They've stood, and Karpov is on the left and Kasparov on the right. They've agreed to a draw. For grandmasters, the realization is clear that the extra pawn is nothing. It's just merely a technical draw, and they're both happy and satisfied at this point to have a draw. And Jonathan Tisdall, whom we just heard, writes as follows on this telex. The game was agreed drawn after 9 minutes of thought, evidently on Kasparov's proposal, and that's the etiquette. The player with the extra pawn proposes the draw. Otherwise, it's as if the other player is asking for a favor. The Grandmaster consensus was that it was theoretically correct, but all expected more torture. Chess players are very sublimated, and they really never hurt each other at all, so they call little things like this torture, because the crowd was not pleased. The crowd is eager for, it's not really blood, but they want more play.
More moves.
More moves. They came for it. The players left the stage very quickly. Kasparov was smiling, and Karpov was expressionless. The press is resigned and not surprised, and I think we're not surprised either. So this is the final position in the let's see, 9, 25, 26 game. I have to remind myself. This is the final position between these two great players, and both of them are going to go down in chess history as two of the great players of all time. Karpov has been a superlative world champion. And Kasparov's future is still ahead of him. He's only 21 years old. So here we are, our 11th show. I would like to take this occasion, we have about a minute and a half left, to really thank everyone connected with the show, to thank WGBY and all the really great people here, and of course our marvelous guests, particularly Jimmy Sher and Enmar Mednis, who who have really been the backbone of the show, and many, many other people, and they know who they are, and we all know who they are. Dolly, this is your only appearance. Would you like to say something final, perhaps, about the match or chess or something?
Well, I'm like all chess fans. I'm a little disappointed not to see a few more results in this match, and as Edmore said, even a few more moves in this game. I was personally hoping to see A4.
To see
A4.
Oh,
just
A4.
now.
Okay, you want to see the struggle continue. Harry?
I share Dolly's sentiments, yes.
Okay, so that will have to happen outside the context of this program. Jimmy?
Well, these people will never go down in chess history unless they can conclude the match, Shelby.
Okay, there won't be any chess history.
Okay, but
Okay,
it's really been great fun doing the show with you. I've enjoyed it tremendously.
Thanks, Jimmy. Edmore?
We've actually had two matches. The first half of the match so far, one of the great fighting matches of all time. The last 13 games, we've seen two wet drags playing.
Okay, Edmore, thank you again. Okay, this is it until we come back with a wrap-up when the match is over. So thank you all very much for being with us. We hope to see you again. And again, thank you very much. We've got wonderful response from our audience out there. See you again with World Championship Chess.